Status Theory, Episode 10. You have probably eaten in a restaurant where you could not understand the menu. Not because the food was foreign, not because the descriptions were in another language, but because the menu seemed to assume a knowledge you weren't sure you had. What is the chef's interpretation of this dish? Which of these preparations is appropriate to choose? How should you interact with the wine list? In a high-end restaurant, these moments of uncertainty are not failures of communication. They are the point. Expensive restaurants are, among other things, social competence exams. And the confusion is part of the design. The design of a high-end menu is one of the most carefully considered communication artifacts in hospitality. Most people assume menus are designed to help customers order. In ordinary restaurants, that is true. In high-end restaurants, the menu also performs a secondary function. It separates guests who know the vocabulary from those who don't. Consider what a high-end tasting menu communicates. There are no choices. You eat what the kitchen decides. The customer's job is not to select, it is to trust, to be present, and to demonstrate that they can relinquish control gracefully. For someone who has never experienced this format, the absence of choice can be bewildering. For someone who has, it signals the most sophisticated form of hospitality, a kitchen confident enough to impose its own sequence, and a guest sophisticated enough to appreciate the imposition. The language of high-end dining is its own vocabulary, and fluency in it signals status. Knowing the correct pronunciation of a wine region, understanding the difference between service styles, knowing how to read a menu that offers amuse-bouche, mise en place, intermezzo, knowing when to ask a question and when to defer to the sommelier. These are not functional skills. They do not affect the flavor of the food. They are social signals. The guest who navigates all of this fluently is communicating something beyond financial capacity, cultural capital, world experience, and comfort in high-status environments. The guest who stumbles, mispronounces a wine region, orders courses out of sequence, or asks a question that reveals inexperience, has provided the room with information about their social position. This is not a cruelty. It is the honest mechanics of a social competence exam. The deliberate ambiguity of high-end restaurants is a form of power architecture. When menus have no prices, as is common in private dining rooms and certain invitation-only dining experiences, the removal of price information shifts the power dynamic entirely. The guest who asks for prices signals that price is a constraint. The guest who does not signals that it is not. The same logic applies to the format of the meal. When the sequence, timing, and composition of the meal are entirely at the kitchen's discretion, the guest cedes control to the institution. And ceding control gracefully is itself a status performance. High-end dining is full of deliberate unknowns. What is the next course? How long will this last? Is this the wine pairing or an additional pour? The guest who handles all of this with equanimity, who never appears flustered, never checks their phone impatiently, never shows impatience or surprise, is demonstrating the social composure that high-status environments reward.
The physical environment of a high-end restaurant is also carefully designed for social performance. Tables are often positioned to create visibility, to give guests the experience of being seen in the right environment. This is not an accident. Being visible in an exclusive venue is part of what diners pay for. The noise level, the lighting, the table spacing, all calibrated to create a specific social atmosphere. Tables that are slightly too close encourage awareness of neighboring diners. Tables that are too far away create isolation. The correct distance creates communal luxury. You are not alone, but you are among the right kind of people. The staff's role in the spatial performance is also precise. A high-end server is not just delivering food. They are managing a social scene, adjusting the pace of the meal, reading the mood of the table, deciding when to intervene and when to stay invisible. High-end dining has always been a market for social distinction, not just food. Economic research on restaurant pricing has documented the Veblen good phenomenon in fine dining, the tendency for higher prices to increase perceived quality and desirability rather than reducing demand as conventional economics would predict. When a restaurant is expensive, the experience of eating there communicates something. The expense is part of the signal. A less expensive version of the same food would, paradoxically, feel less impressive because the price is part of what the experience is communicating. This is why the most prestigious restaurants in the world do not compete on value. They compete on exclusivity, difficulty of access, critical prestige, and the density of the social signal the experience provides. Expensive restaurants are not primarily in the food business. They are in the social distinction business. The food is the mechanism. The experience is the product. And the confusion, the moments of uncertainty, the vocabulary you may not fully command, the rituals you must navigate, is the test. Passing it communicates more than a financial transaction. It says, I have been in rooms like this before. I know the rules. I belong. The meal is expensive. The signal is priceless. That's the end of our first 10 episodes of Status Theory. Thank you for being here at the beginning. If you found value in any of these episodes, please subscribe. Every week we'll keep decoding the hidden psychology behind wealth, taste, and power. And leave us a comment. Which episode changed how you see something in your daily life?